audio? And
Just 1 second.
Yes, sir. We can hear you now. Thank you so much, sir. I know you are running short of time. And sir, welcome for MSME startup reforms and schemes. We have people joining in, but without any delay, I would request you if we can have your kind views, sir. Please.
Yeah. If you could just hold for a second, I'll switch off the fan because it's making some noise.
Yes, sir. Please. So, as all of you know, today the whole initiative is to bring MSME and startup reforms and scheme in front of you. We are really thankful for everyone for joining in and all our speakers for joining in today. Sir, yes, sir. I'll just unmute you, sir, please.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Tripti, and good morning to everybody. It is indeed a pleasure and a privilege for me to connect with you all on this webinar. And I understand we are having a number of people from the startup MSME community, both from India as well as possibly from the overseas area. I hope everyone is safe and sound during these very difficult times that we are all passing through, the COVID-19. And that all of you are observing the practices and the safeguards that we need to practice and which has been advocated both by the government as well as ministries of health or your local organizations and so on. Indeed, the COVID-19 crisis is unprecedented in terms of its impact. It is descended upon us swiftly without any warning, and it has paralyzed nations. It has disrupted supply chain systems all across the world. We are in an unprecedented time of lockdown, not only in India, but in many other countries, and something that we never expected would happen during our lifetimes. It has thrown open the various challenges that are facing us today in order to solve this problem. It is also throwing open the fact that there are many, many more challenges post this COVID-19 lockdown that we all have to address and that we all have to solve together. And that solution is not possible without innovation, without entrepreneurship, without creativity in being able to address and solve all these problems. And I am part of the Atal Innovation Mission, as Tripti mentioned. The Atal Innovation Mission was set up actually 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, with a very explicit purpose of how do we take and transform a 1.3 billion nation into a nation of job creators, into a nation of innovators, into a nation of entrepreneurs. Because what has brought us here and success so far, and we have been very successful as a country, we have been one of the fastest growing economies of the world. We have what they call as a demographic dividend with more than 65% of our people under 35 years old. We have more than 1.4 million schools in our country. We have over 10,500 engineering and related institutions. We have more than 39,000 universities and colleges. And we have 150 million young students who are going to be entering into the workplace over the next 5 to 10 years. And it is important that these 150 million students or young students who are going to be entering into the workplace get the opportunities, get the ability, and get the ecosystem for being able to carry a country of 1.3 billion forwards into this century and into the next century. We also have technology that is reshaping the entire world. Technology has become affordable, accessible, available, and advanced. You have 3D printing technology, which is enabling you to conceptualize, design, develop, and manufacture products right in front of your eyes. You have robotics and automation driving the next levels of productivity in factories, in office organizations, in even in every aspect of human endeavor. You have the World Wide Web, which is becoming increasingly accessible through broadband, through wireless, through 5G technologies, and you are having IoT technologies, sensor technologies, which is getting integrated into every aspect of human life, whether it is man, machine, device, communication setups. You are having data flowing in through multiple feeds, large amounts of data. And more importantly, you are at a time when you are able to process this data through big data analytics, through supercomputing, through nanotechnologies, and through all of these various processing power that is becoming exponentially advanced, and it is also reducing its cost exponentially. So we are living at a very, very important juncture, I would say, a watershed moment in our history where India has something what many countries aspire for and envy us, a demographic dividend, tremendous innovation capability, tremendous. I mean, that has been proven by the fact that just in the last 10 years, $180 billion ITS industry has been set up. And all of that because we have had, as a country, as a nation, as a society, we have placed a lot of emphasis on education. And so the educational setup has responded, and we are all here, and you and I have benefited through that ITS growth. But that is not good enough for us to go into the future. And that is why the Atal Innovation Mission was set up. How do you create and promote an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of our country so that we can have thousands of job creators, and we are having the ability for MSMEs and startups to flower and to blossom in a country where it needs to. Because after all, we are a country with 600,000 villages. We have 733 districts. We have 115 of them as aspirational districts. We have districts in the hilly areas, the coastal areas, we have only 8 tier 1 cities. And you have seen how the COVID-19 situation has grievously impacted the entire set of migrant workers who all try to migrate from our villages, from our districts, from our tier 2, tier 3 cities into the 8 tier 1 cities. That's an unsustainable situation. And that is why the government has been very, very proactive, I would say, in launching several innovation entrepreneurship schemes. Just to give you a very brief idea, the Atal Innovation Mission has 5 major initiatives. One, at the school level, we have launched thousands of tinkering labs called Atal Tinkering Labs. And these are all dedicated innovation workspaces in schools so that our young students from schools from grade 6 to grade 12 get the opportunity to tinker with latest of technologies, 3D printing, robotics, IoT, miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality through do-it-yourself kits. Using this do-it-yourself kits, the children identify problems in and around the community. They form small groups. They try to solve the problem, creating a prototype of an innovation from these technologies. And then we have a number of events like Atal Tinkering Challenges, Atal Tinkering Marathons, where the students are able to display their innovation, and amazing results have come out as a result of this. Today, we have more than 5,000 Atal Tinkering Labs across the country in the 733 districts. And we have 2.5 million young students from schools who are getting introduced to innovation and to sustainable development goals. Every innovation that is created by the child has to be aligned to the sustainable development goals. And that's a very important problem that is going to hit us in this century and even in the next century. If we are not able to take our innovations and everything that is being created aligned with the sustainable development goals, we as a society will fail our future and our future generation. So the students are getting how to innovate. They are converting themselves, transforming themselves from a rote learning mindset to a problem-solving innovation mindset. And when they go to the universities, they have world-class incubators called Atal Incubators who will be fostering startups. Now we have launched 102 incubators across this country, out of which 70 are fully operational, and more than 1,500 startups have come out just in the last 2 years. As all of you are aware, we are a startup nation. We have 30,000 startups in our country today. But startups will only succeed if you have world-class incubators supporting them in various valleys of death, as they call. Because during a startup life cycle, a great product does not become a great idea, doesn't become a great product or a great company, unless you have a mentoring support, venture capital support, business planning, strategy support, you have support for technology lab and research lab access, and so on. So the incubators provide that environment, and we give grant of 10 crores to each of the incubators so that they can foster 20 to 25 startups every 2 years. Out of these 102 incubators will come at least 5,000 startups over the next 4 years. Now, a startup also has to register itself as an MSME because the government in its latest package, the 20 lakh crore package, has identified a number of benefits for the MSME world. Why is the MSME world so important? It is important because 70% of our country, the formal and the informal sector, are in the MSME sector. And unless the MSME sector grows and blossoms and becomes very vibrant, we will not be able to do the changes that we are looking for in this in this country as well as in the world. If we want to have the 600,000 villages experience the benefits of innovation, it can only happen by supporting it through a vibrant MSME startup community. And therefore, the third initiative that we have done is we have launched what are known as Atal New India Challenges. These challenges are to stimulate product innovations as well as MSME innovations to address various problems that we have in our country. And we arrive at these problems along with working with ministries. So we launched 24 New India Challenges in the areas of drinking water and sanitation, railroad and transportation, mass transportation systems. We launched it on waste management. We have launched it on climate smart agriculture, and we have launched on renewable energies. We have also now launched, along with the defense, something called IDEX, Innovations for Defense Excellence. And we are going to be launching a series of challenges called ARISE, Applied Research and Innovation for Small Enterprises, which is meant and targeted towards MSME Make in India innovation. Now, in all of this, the government gives grants of anywhere between 2 crores to 5 crores so that your idea can be converted into a prototype, a viable, workable prototype. And from a prototype, it can get converted into a product. And finally, to support all of this, we have created a Mentors of Change Mentor India network. Because unless you have strong mentorship to all the startups, incubators, to the tinkering labs, we will not be able to give the benefit of the knowledge that all the people who have had the chance to get associated with the professional development, they will not have a chance to give back to the society. And that is very much needed if you want to make the startup successful. For example, in the Atal Innovation Mission, we have set up what is known as a Women Entrepreneurship Platform, WEP platform. You can log on to the Atal Innovation, the Niti Aayog website. And the Niti Aayog, the WEP, along with Atal Innovation Mission, is ensuring that women entrepreneurs, we have only 13% women entrepreneurs in India. How do you make it 48%? Because 48% of our country, according to the 2011 census, is women. And if you don't carry the women along, if you don't carry the girl child along, if you don't enable them an ecosystem of entrepreneurship and startups, you will not be able to really take much of the nation forward. So today we have 13% of our entrepreneurs as women. But in the last 2 years, I would like to share that out of the 1,500 startups that came up in the Atal Innovation Mission, more than 500 are women startups. And that is a fantastic number for us because at least 33% of our startups have now become women startups. And I think it is important for all of us as analysts, as think tanks, as policymakers, as organization CEOs and so on, how do we ensure that we carry the women along in this entire spur towards development, innovation, entrepreneurship? Because you'll all be very happy to know that in the Atal Tinkering Challenges that we launched, out of the top 100 challenges winners, 33% were women children, girl children. And therefore, the potential for entrepreneurship at all levels, whether it be at a state level, district level, at a national level, irrespective of gender or irrespective of the place where you're coming from, the opportunities are tremendous. And then let me finalize by saying two things. Number one, the Honorable Prime Minister, in his address to the nation, when he released or when they announced a 20 lakh crore package post-COVID in order to resurrect the economy and in order to make our economy a self-reliant India, he identified 5 pillars, and all these 5 pillars need innovation, entrepreneurship, and the MSMEs to plunge into it. The first pillar he talked about was a demographic dividend, and I already talked about it. It is important to have innovation, entrepreneurship drive and create the opportunities for this demographic dividend to leverage. For example, EdTech, how to use digital transformation for enabling education and entrepreneurship and empowering the citizens. How do you use health tech, digital health to enable telemedicine, and so that the remotest corners of our country are being able to tap into the power of the medical network that we have. So the demographic dividend is the first pillar. The second pillar he talked about was infrastructure. Like I said, we have 600,000 villages, we have 733 districts, but we have only 8 tier 1 cities. Now, if we want to carry this country along, we have to set up the infrastructure. through innovation, through entrepreneurship, through MSMEs, both the physical infrastructure as well as the digital infrastructure, so that the 100 or 200 smart cities that we are talking about get the ability for them to become smart and thereby spur job creation and innovation. You want 100 hubs of job creation, not 8 hubs of job creation. And that can only happen through the pillar of infrastructure. The third pillar he talked about was technology, leveraging technology, and I have already shared a lot about it. So you need to focus on innovation, entrepreneurship, and how the MSME startup community can leverage technology to develop solutions for our country. We are a country of 1 billion people with 1 million challenges. How do you ensure that the million challenges become million opportunities, leveraging technology for solution? And fourth pillar he identified was that of a demand. We are a country with 1.3 billion people, so we have tremendous demand in our country. We don't need to look elsewhere. So if we meet that demand, we are creating job opportunities, we are furthering the economy, and we are doing societal good. And finally, he talked about economy as a pillar. How do we ensure that the economy benefits every one of us in the country? How do we ensure that social innovation combined with commercial interests drive the future of our country? I think if we focus on entrepreneurship, innovation, MSMEs, startups, in all of this, and there are a number of schemes that the government has announced to support them, if we leverage all of this, the future of India is very bright. And the COVID-19 may well be a watershed moment, a turning point in our history, where it has become a level playing field for all the governments, and we as an India can become a self-reliant Atmanirbhar India and be able to create the impact that nations across the world need. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was with us Mr. R. Ramanan, Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission from NITI Aayog. Just because I couldn't introduce initially, I would not miss this opportunity to tell that he has been instrumental to date in the launch and execution of several nationwide innovation and entrepreneurship initiatives, resulting into 10,000 plus Atal Tinkering Labs in schools, nationwide, with 5,000 plus technologies like 3D printers, robotics, and many kits which have touched on 102 Atal Innovation Sector, which has been established in universities, and almost 24 startup challenge, which Sir has recently spoken about. And also the AIM InnoNet to mentor young school students and startups has been instrumental. And Sir definitely, come from Tata Consultancy Services, he's been very, very active and has globally acclaimed TCS. He was the MD and CEO of the company CMC Limited. Sir, thank you so much for being with us today and for starting this interesting MSME and startup reforms and schemes initiative, which we have taken so that people know things about what's happening, what schemes are being launched. I know government is working hard. It's just a communication and of course, getting the right information at the right time gap. So thank you so much for joining in. We have few questions, sir, if you can be with us, maybe on mute, and in the end, after we have other speakers, and we would like to take a few questions. Thank you once again, sir. I would request Sahil from my team to please take up quickly. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I'll just briefly go through the rules of the session. That is, just please keep your mic on mute while our guest is speaking. And if you have any questions, please post it in the chat box in the end. We'll take it up towards the end of the session. Now, let me allow me this opportunity to introduce Tripti Somani, who will be hosting this session, will be moderating the session for us. Tripti Singhal Somani, woman of substance, ambition, extremely successful and yet so humble. Tripti is a success coach for SMEs, a chartered accountant by education, CEO KGS Advisors, and serial entrepreneur by profession. Tripti is a success coach by passion. She is known for her myriad of roles she plays, and it's commendable to see how effortlessly she wears and juggles them between all this with so much poise and grace, a combination rare to find. She, with the purpose to leverage the tools and templates, knowledge, learning, programs for SMEs and MSMEs to gear up for their exciting entrepreneur journeys. She has supported on more than 100 plus SMEs in a very short span of time. After having a flourished and a successful corporate career with organizations such as PwC, Grant Thornton, and World Bank for more than a decade, Tripti contributes regularly to the industry events and discussions on content, policy, social media, government support system, and entrepreneurship. She has significantly influenced and contributed towards bringing a change in the government policies and schemes to support the young entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs. Tripti has been a significant contributor as the founding chairwoman of PHDCCI, Women Entrepreneurship Committee, NESBUD, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, NOS Committee, and various other industry bodies where she either chairs or is a member of it. A breakthrough initiative founded by Tripti is the Jeevarix Womennovator, a non-profit organization which has come a long way under her able leadership. She successfully led and created a powerful ecosystem whereby connecting 150 plus influencers, 600 jury members across 100 smart cities and 85 plus sectors in India and abroad. This being one of the most imperative causes for her, she coaches and empowers women entrepreneurs on their way to growth by providing business education, training, mentoring, networking. She has one message for all the women entrepreneurs, innovators out there that dream the impossible, see the unknown, and achieve the greatness. She has also been a popular TEDx speaker. She has contributed to several reputed platforms with her engaging talks and has been endowed with several prestigious awards by reputed government agencies and ministries. What sets her apart is her unmatched.
Thank you so much, Sahil. I think we can now we have with us Mr. TP Srivastav ji from Ministry of Small, Micro and Medium Enterprise. I welcome him, and I hope, sir, you can hear me and we can have your kind comments. And before we start, I would quickly tell you about TP Srivastav, sir. He's director with TC MSME office. Very welcome to DP Srivastav, sir. Can we hear from you, sir?
I can hear you, Tripti. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear, sir. Thank you. Thank you for joining in, sir. Thank you. So, as you all know, Ministry of MSME, recently we have seen a revise in the definition of and the number of micro and small entrepreneurs are very instrumental for the growth of our country or any country. And with the new definitions, I think now a lot of companies have fall under MSME definition with 250 crore as the upper limit to be the medium enterprise. And this Office of Development Commissioner, which DP sir is representing, has been instrumental in for training for facility testing of facilities for testing, training for entrepreneurship development, preparation of project and product profile, technical and managerial consultancy, assistance for export, pollution and energy audits. In addition, there are a lot of schemes which ministry has launched to support MSME, not today, but for a long time, this ministry has been supporting micro and small entrepreneurs and medium entrepreneurs. Srivastav, sir, it will be great if we can hear from you few very important schemes which our audience are eager to hear from you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Tripti. At present, whole world is passing through very difficult phase because of coronavirus, and our MSME sector is also badly affected. Recently, government has announced the package for revival of MSME sector, and our definition has also been rationalized. Now there is no distinction. We don't have different definition for manufacturing sector and service sector. Any enterprise having turnover up to 250 crore and investment up to 50 crore is an MSME. For addressing the problems of MSME, especially in COVID period, Honorable Prime Minister has launched Champions Portal. The URL is champions.gov.in. Any MSME having any grievance can upload the grievance on the portal, and in a time-bound manner, the grievance will be addressed. The priority of the ministry is very important, and our first priority nowadays during COVID period is successful running of the portal. For successful running of the portal, I will tell you, in the ministry we have a central control room, and in different estates, in 66 places, we have estate control rooms run by our development institutes, branch DI, KBIC, NSIC, and choir board. And this control room is working all 7 days from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the night. MSME sector is an important sector of our economy. If you see the National Sample Survey data, then it says that in country we have 6.34 crore of MSME, which provide employment to about 11 crore of people. This sector provides maximum number of employment in the country after agriculture. The share of MSME in GDP is about 30%. In an export, the share of MSME is about 49%. Not only that, if you see the registration in the GSTN, then most of the enterprises which are registered in the GSTN, they are MSME. At present, the registration in GSTN is about 1.22 crore. And out of 1.22 crore, 1.20 crores are MSME. That is, they have turnover of less than 250 crore. This shows the size of the sector and its impact on our economy. I personally believe that the growth of Indian economy is not possible without the growth of MSME sector. But at the same time, this sector faces some of the problems also, like access to finance, access to market, and access to technology. And for addressing the problems of MSME sector, in the ministry we have several schemes. For example, Prime Minister Employment Generation Program, CGTMC, CLCSS, and many other schemes we have. Under public procurement policy, it is mandatory for CPSEs to buy at least 25% from the micro and small enterprises, including 3% from the MSCs owned by women. But if you see the data of 2019-20, then our CPSEs have purchased about 30% from micro and small enterprises. In terms of money value, it is 37,500 crore. And out of that, 380 crore they have purchased from the MSCs owned by women. If you see the registration on GEM portal, then out of total registration on the GEM portal, 1 lakh are MSMEs, micro and small enterprises. And as on date, out of total transaction on the GEM portal, 54% is from our micro and small enterprises. It's a very high figure. Prime Minister Employment Generation Program is another important scheme of the ministry. The basic objective of this scheme is to provide employment opportunity in rural and urban areas. Any person interested to set up a micro enterprise will get the subsidy of 15% if it is in urban areas and 25% if it is in rural areas. If that project is set up by women entrepreneur, then subsidy component is increased by 10%. It becomes 35% in rural areas and 25% in urban areas. Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprise is another important scheme of the ministry. Under this scheme, micro and small enterprise can get the credit up to 2 crore. And under this scheme, ministry gives the guarantee of 85%. It means that if because of some genuine reason our MSC is not able to repay the bank loan, then 85% amount of that loan will be paid by the government. We have another important scheme, Micro Small Enterprise Cluster Development Program. Under this program, we give financial assistance for establishment of common facility center and infrastructure development for the new and existing clusters. For improving the competitiveness of MSME sector, we have 6 scheme components: IPR scheme, design scheme, incubation scheme, digital MSME scheme, lean manufacturing scheme, and JED scheme. In IPR scheme, we provide the financial assistance for encouraging the registration of MSME, IPR registration of the MSME, and we also provide facility for financial assistance for establishment of IP facilitation center. But if you see the current scenario, then registration of IPR in our country is very, very low if you compare with the countries like China, Japan, and South Korea. Design scheme is another important scheme of the ministry. The basic objective of this scheme is to bring the manufacturing sector and our design expert to a common platform so that new designs could be developed and it could be made available to our MSME at reasonable price. Under this scheme, we provide financial assistance for development of design by our MSME. Incubation scheme is another important scheme of the ministry. Under this scheme, we give financial assistance up to rupees 15 lakhs for development and nurturing of the ideas, and up to rupees 1 crore for purchasing of the plant and machinery. Digital MSME scheme is another important scheme of the ministry. The basic objective of this scheme is to digitally empower MSME sector. Under this scheme, we are in the process of developing India Enterprise Portal. On India Enterprise Portal, you'll have all the information which MSME require. For example, all the scheme details of the central ministry you can get on that portal, not only of Ministry of MSME, of the Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Rural Development, and the schemes of all the states related to the MSME sector. Not only that, all the information relating to the marketing, export, import, entire information, whatever information you require for the MSME sector, will get on that portal. That is the objective of India Enterprise Portal. For improving the ease of doing business, government has, Ministry of MSME has taken several digital initiatives. You must be aware about Udyog Aadhaar number. We have Udyog for registration of Udyog Aadhaar. You have to just provide some of the details. No documentation is required. No money has to be paid. And online you can get the Udyog Aadhaar number. We have MSME Samadhan portal. This portal is for resolving the problem of delayed payment. Delayed payment is a serious problem for MSME sector. Any micro and small enterprise facing the problem of delayed payment, they can register the complaint on the portal, and in due course, the problem will be resolved. We have also MSME Sambandh portal. On this portal, through this portal, we ensure that CPSEs purchase at least 25% from the micro and small enterprises. But I have just mentioned the last year figure. It is about 30%. 30% has been purchased from micro and small enterprises. We have MSME Sampark portal. This is the portal where the job providers and job seekers can get connected. So that's all from my side. Thank you, Tripti.
Thank you, sir. That was quite quick and a lot of initiative. I hope I was about to tell everyone that while listening to you and while listening to all our speakers today, please keep a notepad and your notebook ready, because a lot of schemes like you spoke about Udyog Aadhaar. I mean, it's a starting point for MSME, and it's a normal scenario when I asked among my friends or people I meet, out of 100, only 2 have registered for Udyog Aadhaar. Like your Aadhaar card, you need to have your udyog Aadhaar. If you're starting a small micro enterprise, and with the current scheme, I think you with 250 crore as a turnover and the limit, I think it is important that you all please go through and register. It's a free of cost. I have found out a lot of people paid some amount to people. It's a free of cost. It's a government site. It's 5 minutes maximum job. And then I think in addition to this, we need to make sure that you are listing yourself in NSIC and also GEM portal if you want to supply to um, government organizations. So like sir said, just adding to it that it is important that GEM portal, which is a government portal, if you want to supply to government, if you're not listed, they cannot buy from you. And to meet the procurement policy, they have to buy from you, especially women-owned businesses, 3%. So with this, thank you so much, Vasav sir. We will have a lot of questions. It will be great if we can have you till the end. If you can carry on with your work, but be there with us.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in today. And with this, since we were talking about procurement scheme, I have someone who was with me working on the scheme of public procurement when he was in Ministry of MSME, Mr. R.K. Rai, sir. Mr. R.K. Rai, sir, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Shrivastava sir. So thank you so much, Raisa, for joining us today. Now you have moved on to Ministry of Power, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Bureau of Energy Efficiency, as you all know, is working very closely in implementing global environment facilities. Bureau of Energy Efficiency's mission is to assist in developing policy and strategy on self-regulation market principle with primarily objective of reducing energy intensity of Indian economy within overall framework of Energy Conservation Act. It will be achieved with active participation of all stakeholders, resulting in accelerated and sustained adoption of energy efficiency in all sectors. With this, I would like to invite Mr. R.K. Rai, sir, Secretary, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and known to me since Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise Ministry when he was with Ministry of Micro and Small Medium Enterprise. So, Rai, sir, can I have you? Can I hear you, please?
Yeah. Thank you, Trupti. Thanks for the introduction. It's nice to see our old bosses. Shrivastava sir is there, Uday Kumarji is there. So it's nice to be on the platform. Today, sir has explained about the MSME. Today, I'm going to discuss what we are doing for the startups, especially because BE activities are primarily in the area of large industries and the institutions. But we are also doing some activity in the area of MSME, that too in the startups. So instead of speaking, if I may be allowed, I would like to make a small presentation that that will be easy to understand for all the participants. I will share the screen if it is visible. Who's disabled participation screen?
Yes,
can you
sir,
allow
you
me
can
to?
Share. Yes, sir, you can share the screen.
Because I was okay.
We can see the screen, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
You can see it now. Okay. About the clean technology innovation, what we have been doing for the last 5-6 years, and we will be doing in the coming years also. First, let me just introduce about my organization. We, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, is a statutory body. It was established by Government of India in 2002 under EC Act to assist the government in developing the policies and strategies. We work basically on the process of self-regulation and market principles under the EC Act. Just to share that market principle, how it is implemented, all of you must be aware about the star leveling. So the manufacturers, because of the market principles, go for manufacturing efficient appliances, whether it is a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star. So there is no support from BE side, but yes, based on the market principles, the manufacturers go for energy efficiency activities. Just in a brief, the activities we work to an extent with the large industries, to some extent with the SMEs on a promotional role, but with large industries and institutions on a statutory role on a regulatory principles. I will straightway come to the scheme which I am going to discuss. Just to share with you, this is one of the unique scheme. I should say one or two scheme in the government sphere. Trupti, I would like to have your attention in this. That this is a few scheme the government have in their structure, which takes you from prototype to market stage. Most of the innovation schemes or the prototype schemes take you till the prototype stage. I was earlier with the MSME, we have the innovation scheme or DST scheme or other schemes. Most schemes take innovation up to the demonstration stage. But this scheme takes you from the demonstration stage to means the prototype stage to demonstration, and then demonstration to market. Phase 1 and phase 2. If you see, I will explain in the coming slide how we take that. The phase 1 was started in the year 2013, that went up to 2017. Right now we are in the area of phase 2. Under phase 1, we had around 4 annual innovation competition. Till 2020, we had annual basis, but now we have thought that we will have twice or thrice in a year to have more and more ideas, because now people have started using it. So during 2013 to 17, we have got 767 applications, which were evaluated by the experts from the industry and technical institutions, and 84 innovators were selected for support over a period of 2 years. And I am happy to share with you that 35% is the success rate, that out of 84, 35%, around 25 innovators converted into real manufacturers by raising an investment of 140 crore, which is around 20 billion USD. And the most important thing that they found that this project helped them to take to really convert their technology idea into business ideas by bringing them close to the financiers, by bringing them close to the buyers, by bringing them close to the platform where they can demonstrate their project. I'm happy to share with you that our Indian innovators were recognized at the global level. We received awards in 2015 as well as 2017, the global awards. Our winners got. Sathi got the 2017 Global JESIP Award for 100% biodegradable sanitary pad from banana waste fiber. And right now they are exporting to South Africa and Europe. Promethean Energy got the global category in the energy efficiency. And Atomberg got the recognition of most efficient ceiling fan in the world. That was in 2016. Navtel and Solar Electric, they got for the ferrying electric solar boats. And Aspartica Biotechnology got the recognition for converting the papaya from this silk wastage into omega-3 acid oil. Even we have not mentioned here, there is an enterprise in the India called Delhi in the name of Chakra. She is a girl from IIT Delhi who used all the black waste from generators in the Delhi, and you see all the graffiti in the walls of the Delhi is because of that foundation. So those are the 25. And if you see in the bottom picture, we have our earlier ASNDC who took this participant as in the party, who took this participant to US during the global award function. Right now we are in phase 2. Our partners are Unido, the Global Environment Fund, Startup India, Agni. We are working with CIA. CIA is the industry partner. Ishare, the Refrigerated Air Conditioning Association. Sangam AIC is to take them to various business platforms, and we have engaged Intellicap to bring them to the financiers. So we are providing the support from innovation to demonstration and from demonstration to manufacturing, including linking with the financing and the business entities. This is the role of the various the partners who are working with the goal to scale up the innovation solution for adoption of industrial and commercial use. To strengthen clean tech. So I explained earlier, this project is a unique in the India, I can say. Maybe one or two the projects are there who take the demonstration who are already prototyped under various schemes, whether it is the Atal Innovation Mission or DST or Ministry of MSME Incubation Scheme. All the incubation are eligible to go up to the demonstration or even up to the market level. We work on a very verticals because we are in the B, so our projects supported are mainly in the area of energy efficiency or low carbon emission. Right now, we are working in the 3 verticals, that is the waste heat recovery, space conditioning, and pump and pumping. Stage conditioning can be started from the air conditioner to chiller or whatever it is. Waste heat recovery is a major thing, which is like cement plants or steel plants. A lot waste is being heated. Can we convert those waste into useful energy by saving it? And today in the afternoon, we are having our steering committee meeting to discuss 3 additional technology verticals. Just to share with you, these are the energy storage. Number 2 is resource efficiency. And number 3 is IoT applications in the area of energy efficiency. If it is clear, then we are going to, and as I said that earlier, we used to have the annual innovation challenge, but right now we are thinking to have it on at least 3 or 4 times in a year. So last challenge was completed on 31st May. That will be on my coming slide. We have got 177 applications, and we are going to launch another challenge in the month of July or August, which will have these 3 and 3 additional challenges. The details are there on the site, but just to give that what FNCG project offers, we provide financial support up to 50,000 USD. Right now it is around 35-36 lakhs of rupees. We provide, in addition to that, the technical mentoring by CIA organization GBC by the subject expert. De-risking of innovator before commercial launch. That is the most important thing. Because if you have the innovative product and if you are going for a commercial, you don't know whether it is going to be a successful. That will help the financier also, as well as you, as well as the buyer. So we provide the de-risking innovation before you go for a commercial line. We provide you the linkage with the industry. We give you the financial mentoring and the fundraising support. This is in addition to the 50,000 USD, which we provide to you. Who can participate? It is open to the entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs, the startups, Indian institutes, research institutes, not-for-profit organizations, MSMEs, industries, public sector enterprises, consortia of industries, and already the entities who have already taken the support under various programs from DST or any other government entities. They are also eligible who have not gone to the market. So they have the innovative product. They wish to take the facility. We are there to take them to the market. The qualifiers for the innovation, because we receive a lot of applications. So there is a group of experts which are mainly from the industry, IIT, IISc. So they say the overall efficiency improvement, emerging and novel technology applications, design improvement, improvement in material, integration with renewable technology, and use of refrigerant OSD. All innovative solutions should demonstrate replication potential, because it should not be just of innovation. It should have some commercial value that yes, it is going to work for the industry, for the society. As screening criteria, it should be original. It should give the energy saving potential. It should be at the readiness stage. We are going to launch it. Measurement and verification, the maintenance and replication potential. The most important thing is the originality and replication potential. It should have a commercial value. What we support, that is the capital expenditure for the demonstration and consumer related to technology demonstration. Intangible, if you want to go for any test, modeling, simulation at the accredited laboratories, and operating expenses, including your travel cost and manpower support cost. If you want to engage any expert, that is also. Usually, we complete the cycle in 6 months from the date of this application submission, the shortlisting, financial due selection of winners. Then, whatever the report is there, it is being endorsed by the B, and then a contract is being signed with the awardees. 18-19, these are some slides which are still going on. They have launched the project. Some have gone in the market, like Urja, Promethean, Infra, Metafab, Plus, if you say Sakti Pump Foundation. So 13 winners were there in the 2018. 3 in the waste heat recovery, 6 in space conditioning, pump. They got a support of around 3.5 CR. And MNV completed for 7 innovation. They are at the demonstration stage. We got 17 winners from 2019. Every competition we used to take around 20. So this year we are having a target of around 80 winners. We will organize around 4 competitions. So first just concluded. I will just say that it was completed on 31st May. We got 177 entries, 69 in the waste, 64 in the space condition. Those are in the evaluation stage. And by September, we are going to sign the agreement with the selector. Thank you. This is the site. You can straightway go. I've shared the details with the Tripti. She can share with you. You can straightway go to the site. And once we announce in July, rather I would also like to show it through Womennovator platform that applications can come. This is all from my side. I will just stop here, and if you have any question or answer that can be discussed, I think.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. That's really great. And thanks so much for sharing this very insightful information, and specifically for startup in this domain. This is quite a good fund where they can apply for and get support. And thank you for being so to the point, and and I've always seen you point, and great to see so many startups being supported by Bureau of Energy Efficiency with not a small amount, with huge amounts for their research, which is what we see in India. We are lacking is a research fund to support research. Everyone is talking about commercialization and support, but I'm really great to hear the scheme and support which we have got and you've shared for Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Thanks a lot once again, Raisa. And with this, we have our next guest from SIDBI, Mr. S.S. Acharya. He's with SIDBI, and SIDBI, as you all know, is Small Industries Development Bank of India, which has majorly been helping small, micro, medium enterprise in promotion, financing, and development, as well as coordination of function of institution engaged in similar activities. I would request our special guest, S.S. Acharya sir, to please share with us about liquidity infusions and COVID startup infusion scheme, and if time permit, even about the SAFE scheme which SIDBI has come up with. It will be really helpful for us to know about these scheme. Acharya sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you. Thank you, Tripti madam. And a very good morning to all the panelists and everybody in the forum. I see the number of participants in the panel is 250 at this point of time. So a very good morning to all of you. I think this is the time, we have to actually, share our experience, share our knowledge, handhold each other, and see that, we together overcome this challenge that nature has thrown before us. So, this is in a series of webinars are happening, and I have been interacting with many entrepreneurs. I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. So I have been, interacting with several entrepreneurs and several of the forums and the webinars. And I just, the one thing that I always try to tell them either at the beginning or the end is that, this is not a time for competition. This is a time for survival and revival. So, for last 2-3 months, we have been experiencing the difficulties where we are constrained to stay in homes, not to operate our business houses. And, the business has taken a beating because of this global pandemic. So that is the reason, we also, when we come and start doing business, we have to understand it is not just us, but everybody is going through it, whether in the entire value chain has been affected, whether it is your supplier, whether it is your creditor, whether it is your debtor, whether it is your banker, everybody has suffered. So we must be empathetic when you deal. We cannot say that, in normal times, what was happening will also happen this time. If our the people who were giving us credit maybe 3 months back, now they will demand cash payment. This is something that every MSME most importantly is facing, because your creditor also is an MSME or any other industrial house. They are also facing the same difficulty. So it is no wonder that they will be asking for cash payment. the people who are very, confidently giving you 30 days credit, 60 days credit will not be in a position to do so. Same thing with your debtors. You might be facing, problem in debt realization. So those issues are there. I think this is the time we must understand each other's difficulty and should not only just think about our world and think that the entire value chain is constrained, and see how together we can actually come out of this. And there are strategies we have been formulating, but possibly this is not the forum to talk on strategies. We will be talking about the current schemes that SIDBI has introduced. I'll start with the SAFE scheme that has successfully been closed just 2 days back. It was a scheme that was introduced as an emergency response to COVID. The name is SAFE, SIDBI Assistance for Emergency Response to COVID-19, and the name, as the name suggests, it was for MSMEs which were getting orders to produce suddenly a huge quantity of material that is required to fight against COVID-19, whether it is the personal protective equipment, whether it is the ventilators, or whether it is the IV fluids that is required, whatever is directly required to fight against COVID-19, or for that matter in face shields, etc. So at a very competitive rate of just 5%, SIDBI extended 50 lakh of rupees per MSME unit to help them, immediately use it and produce more to supply to the to cater to the emerging demand, because the existing limits may not be sufficient for meeting that kind of a sudden surge in demand. So that's why this 50 lakh rupees was given, and it was 1 crore for government orders, against government orders, and it was for specific purpose for production of related items related to COVID. And I'm very happy that, to share with you that about 300 MSMEs were assisted under this, and the scheme has been successfully closed just on 10th, that is 2 days back. Then, for startups, the Government of India has just announced this Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana, and a lion's share of it goes to the MSMEs, because MSMEs are the largest provider of employment after agriculture in this country. But even before that, SIDBI had come out with for startups, realizing that this is a difficult time for startups, and we also understand most of the startups, they do not have bank funding, because debt funding comes at a later stage, possibly at Series 3 or Series 4 stage for startups. So at that point of time, SIDBI thought that we should come out with some kind of a scheme for the startups which are registered startups and having a good number of employees, because startups need to give their salaries to employees, they need to sustain this difficult period. So we came out with this COVID startup assistance scheme, CSAS, and under that we are helping startups which are not having regular banking facility but having funding from the alternate investment funds. At least one alternate investment fund should have invested in that startup. So we are offering about 2 crores rupees to meet the immediate liquidity demand of the startups, because they do not have any banker, and obviously if you do not have any bank, you will not get any additional assistance under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana, which is presently to cater to the existing bank borrowers. So 2 crore rupees of assistance to CSAS, under CSAS, COVID Startup Assistance Scheme is extended to startups. And as I said, it is for people who are not having regular banking facility. And a very redeeming feature of this facility is that we are also taking an insurance cover, and 50% of that, that is a Keyman insurance, 50% of that policy charges are borne by SIDBI. 25% is being borne by the alternate investment fund which has invested, and another 25 is borne by the startup entrepreneur. So this is something that was to meet the immediate liquidity demand of the startups which are having an employee level of including the foot soldiers of around 50, and a turnover between 10 crore to 60 crore. So so that their operations are not affected, and the sustainability issue is addressed. Then, coming back to the scheme that the Government of India has recently announced, you must all be by now be very familiar with this Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, ECLGS. That is, the about 3 lakh crore. Everybody is talking about the 3 lakh crore package. So it is to demystify. It is basically giving 20% additional funding to the MSME borrowers of all banks, which satisfy the three conditions. Condition number one, that it should not be an SMA2 account. That means past due should not be more than 60 days. The overdue should not be more than 60 days. So and then the bank outstanding as on 29 February, there should be the 20% of that outstanding will be given as additional liquidity support. And the third condition is the aggregate total exposure of the banking system should not be more than 25 crore. And the fourth condition is that the total turnover of the unit should not be more than 100 crores. So if these four conditions are satisfied, so most of the MSMEs will satisfy this, are satisfied, and 20% automatic credit line is given. And because this is a facility which is given over and above the existing banking facility, so some of the banks had first flagged that with the Government of India that whatever we are funding or we have funded, we have maybe a reasonable amount of security available with us. But if you are funding another 20%, then it will be totally without any security, or the security coverage will not be adequate. That's why Government of India in its wisdom thought that the entire thing will be guaranteed by Government of India. There is a CGTMSE scheme which guarantees only 75% of the exposure if you are not in a position to offer collateral security. So we did not opt that route. That is also a SEDB scheme, CGTMSE. We have another guarantee trust that is called NCGTC, National Credit Guarantee Trustee Company. So NCGTC is giving 100% guarantee as against 75% by CGTMSE. And the entire 20% additional exposure of the banks is fully secured, 100% guaranteed by NCGTC of SEDB. So that is, and you will ask how that 3 lakh crore is arrived at. It is a simple calculation. The total outstanding bank credit as on 29th of February to MSME stands somewhere around 15 to 16 lakh crore, and 20% of that shall work out to around 3 lakh crore. So it is that kind of a back of the envelope calculation. That's how the 3 lakh crore. So Government of India will provide guarantee up to that amount, 3 lakh crore amount. So this is a emergency credit line. All MSMEs, when they restart their operation, many are starting operations now from 8th of June. Almost all have started their operation. When they start, they will have unpaid creditors. They will have salary bills to pay. They will have they will require some money to stock up raw materials. So to address those kind of demands on their expenditure, this emergency credit line will be helpful. So that is the purpose, so that the cycle again starts. Then the Reserve Bank of India had given initial moratorium up to the month of May, which they have extended now till the month of August. So 6 months of regulatory forbearance has been extended to all the MSME units. So there, the installments and EMIs, whatever you call, that has been deferred till August. So from August, they can, pay it in a equated monthly installment kind of a thing. So that is something, again, a big relief for the MSMEs, that, they don't have to bother about servicing their debt at least till August, and then gradually they can, along with the normal installments. And if still they find it difficult, the Reserve Bank of India has a restructuring thing, which can restructure the account without classifying it as NPA or anything. Usually, if there is any restructuring, the account is classified as NPA. But the Reserve Bank of India has again extended this regulatory dispensation that till 31st of December 2020, if the accounts can be given restructuring, and they will not be classified as NPA. So all this support, whether it is regulatory, whether it is fiscal, whether it is even in the taxation matters, the Government of India and the Reserve Bank, the regulator, through SIDBI, through Ministry of Finance, have come out with a slew of measures to help the MSMEs. And there are one or two more schemes which are on drawing board, which has been announced, but the details are still being worked out. You must have heard about the fund of funds scheme for some equity infusion in some MSMEs, some 10,000 crore fund that will be created for equity assistance to MSMEs, and there will be a subordinated debt fund that will be, again, all these things will be through banks, but then the modalities are being worked out because liquidity was very important. It has been rolled out already, and these schemes, I think, gradually as we go along in maybe another 10-15 days, the contours of these schemes also one by one it will come. So realizing that many of the MSMEs are also assisted by NBFCs, by microfinance institutions. Initially, you might be aware that Reserve Bank of India had extended a 15,000 crore credit line to SIDBI to support the NBFCs and microfinance institutions with the required funding support so that they can on-lend to the MSMEs. And another announcement was also there that if NBFCs are raising funds from the debt market, then those debt papers will also be guaranteed by Government of India. So again, that will substantially reduce their cost of, because the guarantee is by Government of India. Obviously, any pricing is based on this risk return kind of modalities. When the return is guaranteed by Government of India guarantee, obviously the pricing also will be less, meaning thereby the debt papers will be very the debt can be raised at a very reasonable cost, and the MSMEs which borrow from the NBFCs can get a loan which is with an ambient kind of a pricing. So a slew of measures has been announced. So I will stop there, Tripti. I will stop there, and I'll leave it to you. If there is any question, then we can always take it.
Sorry, sir. I just, there are a lot of questions which are coming up. One very specific question is that there's so many schemes being announced. We're talking about guaranteed, guarantee being given by government, extension of loan facility. So just to clarify everyone, the 20% additional is only for the existing account, not for anyone who's starting business or a new account holder. Right? Is that a clear understanding, Acharya sir? So that's an extension of your existing loan, right?
See, it is an extension of existing loan. Means, see, as on simple example, if as on 29th of Feb 2020, your outstanding bank credit was 100 rupees, then you will get a 20 rupees extra.
Right, sir. So it's for existing. So I want to tell everyone who's listening that it's for existing, loan amount which you get this extension. So you also spoke about the guarantee. We're talking about, banks, if you get the feedback, what feedback we're getting is banks are still asking for securities, corporate guarantees from angel investors, personal guarantees from promoters. Even without the security, they're not renewing the existing CMT, MSME loans, and also not getting additional loan on outstanding as announced by finance. So how are we coping up with this? Sir, I know it's a very difficult question. I'm sure somewhere you also know these kind of, issues are being faced by MSME. What is the process? Is it online, or is it they have to come to you? If you can simplify and tell our audience how.
I got the question. I'll see. This is one automatic kind of an arrangement that has been given, and to the best of my knowledge, I cannot vouch for private sector banks, but all public sector banks have given letters, offer letters to all their MSME borrowers which were passing through the muster. Those 4 conditions: should not be SMA2 as on 29th of Feb, should not have aggregate bank credit more than 25 crores, should not be having turnover of more than 100 crores. If these conditions are met, all public sector banks have issued letters to all these people who are satisfying these 3. So private sector banks have started giving from, I think, from this Monday. They were a little late because some certain clarifications possibly they were expecting. And let me tell you, there is no guarantee fee. Even in, for this, normally when you take a guarantee, the credit guarantee, there is a guarantee fee that is to be paid. CGTMSE fee, CGTMSE fees. But for this, Government of India has waived off the guarantee fees also. It is absorbed by government. And the first year, there is no principal repayment of this 20%, whatever extra. You don't have to pay the principal for the first year. So then the total repayment period will be 4 years. So this 20% will be converted into a working capital term loan kind of a facility, and you have to pay it in 4 years. For the first year, you don't have to pay. Next 3 years, you have to pay. So this is the system, and it is by and large, 99.9% all public sector banks are given to all. If somebody is not meeting this criteria, then that is a different thing. I can't talk about that. But it is a non-discretionary. Let me tell you, it is non-discretionary. It's not that bank can give or cannot give. It has to be given, provided they meet these conditions.
Okay. So this amount of outstanding loan, which should qualify for 20% credit facility, will LC discounting be included or not, or is it only term loan and working capital?
It is fund-based facilities.
It's a fund-based, so no fund-based, non-fund-based are not included, right? So we have a lot of questions for you, specifically you. It will be great if you can be with us for another 20 minutes, because we have our esteemed guest, Uday Kumar sir, as well from NSIC. And if we after that, we can take a lot of questions up in there for you, sir. So Acharya sir, it will be my request if you can
All right. Thank you. I'm here.
Thank you so much. I would request.
You have been muted.
So I would request Uday Kumar sir from National Small Industry Corporation to please share. National Small Industry Corporation, as you all know, has been working since a long time in raw material systems. It's an NBFC helping in different ways, even funding. Uday Kumar sir, it would be great if today we can hear from you about marketing scheme, those consortium schemes you have, and special benefit under mission aggregation and software aggregation, which the new initiative the ministry has come up with under NSIC. Over to you. So welcome to the seminar.
Good afternoon to all of you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah, Tripti, thank you for inviting me for this video conferencing program. And good afternoon to the panelists, who are all familiar faces to me. And I was just watching the earlier presentations given by the other colleagues, and I think probably like you have covered from the planning perspective. Then again, you talked about the policy perspective. Then again, Mr. Roy talked about the initiatives of area of the B. Then again, Dr. Acharya, of course, is the most demanded man today, because everybody was very keen to know about the Atmanirbhar package announced by the finance minister. Having said that, actually, like, in fact, I would like to, mention that, we are meeting at a time of a major crisis. This kind of a situation, I think in the lifetime, nobody has faced it. But I think, having said that, actually, like, I think instead of looking at it as a kind of a problem or challenge, I think let us look at it as an opportunity. So I think that's the reason, actually, like, I could see so many respondents from the MSME fraternity, like, were logged in for this seminar. And now the most widely talked about subject in any forum is the MSMEs, because now after this COVID-19 situation, one of the most suffering sector is MSMEs. Now, actually, like, that's the reason, actually, Government of India also has come out with several key announcements, landmark announcements, so that actually, like, they want to put back the suffering MSMEs back to the rail, so that, once the MSME engine starts cranking, then I think it will also create multiple growth stories, and also, like, it will also stabilize the economy very soon. And that's the reason, actually, like, the whole industry and the entire government missionaries are talking about MSMEs today. As per this role of NSIC goes in this particular revival journey, NSIC is basically, unlike the government bodies, basically ours is a totally autonomous public sector organization within the Ministry of MSME. Our role is, it starts from incubating unemployed people, and especially now during this time of crisis, actually, where a lot of people are getting unemployed, and a lot of workers are actually like reversing back to their hometowns. I think this incubation, that is rather creating self-employment opportunities, will play a major role, for all these migrant laborers as well as for the unemployed people. So here actually like we have more than 250 livelihood technologies. These technologies are demonstrated through some of our own livelihood incubators spreading across India. Plus, we also have set up livelihood technology incubators under the Aspire scheme, wherein actually like unemployed people, even with people with the 10th standard qualifications, can go and uh, you know um, uh, take up trainings and skillings, and learn the trades, based on the local availability of the raw materials, local resources. These people can go to this incubation centers. They can pick out the available projects. Every center has got not less than 18, 19, or 20 projects, which are basically very simple and livelihood technologies. And this project can be learned by these people. And actually like once they learn these tricks, then again they were also given an exposure to the market, and also they are given exposure to the banking industry, as well as the various aspects of the small scale business. And once they are confident, then actually they can take up this as a project, for which also like NSIC guides them in preparing the detailed feasibility report. Also like we also handhold those people to link with the banks, and also the forward linkages, including the marketing of the product, both to the government sector as well as to the private sector. So in this process, actually, like now, this unemployed as well as underutilized manpower available in the society can become a productive one, and by adopting this, incubator models. And then comes to the next level, actually, okay, once a person is incubator and he becomes a self-employed entrepreneur, then actually like, he looks for finances. So now when he looks for a finances, so we provide them finances through our raw material assistance program, wherein actually we have tied up with the banks. The only thing is, as a matter of abundant caution, we also do take bank guarantees from this entrepreneurs, because we cannot, since we are not a direct banking industry, we cannot afford to take a hit actually. So we take a very safe bank guarantees. Then we make the payments whenever he buys a raw material or he wants to avail any input. We make the payments to the supplier, so that actually like this unit is totally free from all this manual and clerical work. So that means he gets this financial support also through our raw material assistance support scheme. And of course, incidentally, this also will qualify for this 3 lakh crore Atmanirbhar credit, emergency credit guarantee loan scheme. So people can also avail this facility under this Atmanirbhar 3 lakh emergency credit facility also. Then again, okay, when the entrepreneur, if he's a manufacturing unit, if he looks for a raw material, then actually we also have tied up with almost all the raw material producers in the country. And so that, like this guy need not run around for seeking raw materials of the right quality here and there. So we provide not only the raw materials, we also provide the storage of this raw material for the manufacturers, so that the MSMEs get a good quality raw material at a very reasonable cost at their nearest places and the nearest clusters. Then actually like, okay, he has made his product, he has also availed the finance. The next the challenge for him is, how to market the product. So this guy also always looks for a market either in the private sector or in the government sector. But actually, as one of our colleagues was saying, that government is one of the largest, buyer of MSME products. So there is a system which is called the tender marketing and single point registration system, under which the MSME unit can, become a member of the single point registration system of NSIC by paying a very marginal fees. And also there are some categories for which even the fees is fully exempted. Then actually like he has to participate in the tender. So once he becomes a SPRS member, then actually the unit can get an exemption of EMD as well as the tender form fee. Then he can participate in the tender. Suppose that particular tender, it is beyond his capacity, then actually like we NSIC helps them. NSIC like they can participate into the tender through NSIC, either as an individual unit or as a consortia unit. We can form a consortia. There are procedures available which are much simpler procedures. And if the consortia will submit all the documents to NSIC. NSIC participates in the tender with our credentials, and once the tender is awarded to NSIC, like as per the the 25% mandatory procurement scheme, then we upload the tenders to all the MSMEs depending upon the capacity. So a tender wherein actually an individual MSME is not qualified to participate, so that if once they come through NSIC, there is a certainty of getting the tenders and getting it distributed among the MSME members. So then we also have, to support those MSMEs, we also have a online portal which is called msmemod.com. So here actually like the MSMEs can get the trade leads. They also can get tender information. They can also get used machineries. They can also get export inquiries. So this is basically a B2B platform which is very reasonably priced, which is called msmemod.com, and wherein actually people can not only like display their products, they can also get inquiries for both for the domestic market as well as export market. So then actually like suppose if he has got all the support, so he wants to have some like MSME unit may not have all the facilities within their factories, and suppose he wants to get some support in making a die or mold, or he wants to do some testing of his products, or he wants to carry out some calibration works, then again they can come approach NSIC. We have 8 very advanced technology centers. There actually like the MSMEs can approach, wherein actually you can do the testing as well as you can do the calibration, and also you can do some of the job works for which if he doesn't have the machinery in his plant, he can do the job works for a very reasonable price in our centers, and so he can supply his fulfill his tender commitments. So now in addition to this, actually we have also we are also setting up vocational training centers, like it is similar to the incubation centers in India, in abroad, in basically in African and some other Far East countries, wherein actually like the MSMEs who are manufacturing such products and the projects will have an opportunity to export this projects and products through NSIC, so that they will get good takers and also like continued inquiries from the African countries. So in addition to this, actually like we have also now launched new services which are very much useful for the MSMEs. One is actually like we are now facilitating supply of machineries. Then we are also now aggregating and supplying, facilitating software, the software which are required for the MSMEs, and they are being facilitated at a very competitive price, which are again provided by some of the leading software companies. And we have a very robust way of selecting the suppliers. And now it is already being launched. And another most important scheme of the ministry, which NSIC is now implementing, is procurement marketing support scheme. And normally most of the MSMEs, they will have a problem in marketing the products, in promoting the products. But under the scheme, the MSMEs, the Udyog holders can avail this marketing and the exhibition support scheme, and by way of getting a reimbursement of their travel charges or the reimbursement of the stall charges. So this goes a long way in helping this micro small enterprises in getting a market access to untapped areas, not only in the domestic market, even in abroad. And this is one of the very demanded schemes of MSMEs. And actually, like after the fund is coming to the Ministry of MSME, and this particular year, unfortunately, like now it's almost to the first quarter, we are not able to do anything because of the the COVID situation, and because of this social distancing norms. And I'm sure actually like very soon this scheme will be in place, and I think that the MSMEs will be in a position to travel across India, across the globe, so that they'll be able to participate in this leading trade fairs and exhibitions, and they'll be able to market their products and also get technology tie-ups and other so on and so forth. And having said all this schemes, and we also have certain other schemes like a national SCST hub, which is also functioning under the MSIC, which helps in helping out SCST entrepreneurs in all aspects. Not only like incubation, it also helps them in getting several reimbursements, and also helps SCST entrepreneurs to get some linkages with the government.
I have thank you so much for I know there are a lot of schemes which National Small Industry Corporation is running. and as you highlighted, specifically the consortium scheme, the support schemes to ensure marketing assistance. I think a very quick question is the initiative. One is the supply side and one is the demand side. A lot of people are really interested that how are we creating these demand? What should be the process? How to reach out to you? I know if you are registered at NSIC as single point registration, you start getting layers of possible, tenders which are coming, right? So if you can quickly talk about it, and then we can have a 3 minutes question answer round.
Yeah, I think from the subject, I will also like talk about in general. So one of the most challenging questions raised by most of this intellectuals as well as the industry is basically now the entire packages of Atmanirbhar as well as the government support schemes can become really vibrant only when there is a demand which is created by the consumers. So the main challenge is actually the customers are basically from the government side as well as from the private side. And from the private side, actually, the demand has crashed actually like in the last 2-3 months for various reasons. And as for the government sector demand is concerned, it is more or less it is fairly intact. So now the best opportunity is actually now all these MSMEs have to capitalize on the demand which is emerging, which is actually coming up from the government. The government procurement is more or less intact, yet the PSUs are the government. So now this particular demand generation has to be actually like capitalized. So this is one possibility is like more and more MSMEs first of all should become a formal MSME in availing this Udyog Aadhar memorandum, because that is a basic entry point for getting certain government benefits. Second is actually they should also register with NSIC under the single point registration or with our our MSME.com, so that you get access to all the government tenders. Although there are portals are available, government procurement portal, but one of the things is our portal, it analyzes the tenders, it takes out the product, and also depending upon the sector, along with the HSC code, we forward the tenders to the relevant MSME so that it will be much easier for them to understand the tenders as well as to participate either directly or through NSIC. So that means the tenders will be one of the major, it is one of the wayouts for creating a demand for the MSMEs now. And of course, government is actually liberal in announcing more and more schemes. I'm sure actually now government has announced major schemes even for the core sectors. All this will culminate as a demand for the MSMEs in the days to come, which I think I would request all these MSMEs, please actually do register in the Udyog Aadhar, please do register with the NSIC, and also avail all the packages announced by various financial institutions, so that in fact we have to be optimistic. Now, no point in getting getting into the shell and exposing the weaknesses. Yes, everybody is suffering. MSMEs are suffering. Industry is suffering. Even public sectors are suffering. Even our revenues are hit. But only thing is, let us be optimistic, and in fact, actually, we are also trying.
So I think, sir, I have a quick questions. Now we will just quickly do 3 questions we can take up. I have a lot of questions, but I'll take up very quick. I would request Rai sir and Acharya sir from SIDPI and Rai sir from Ministry of Power, and with an experience of MSME Ministry, Uday Kumar sir, any of you can please answer these questions. Can EXIM, mercantile exporter business, be registered under MSME? Mr. Balkrishnan has this question. Can we have this answer, sir, please? Can an EXIM...
Sorry? What is the question?
So can EXIM, a mercantile exporter, be registered? Because we normally talk about manufacturing and service industry. Can a person who is a mercantile exporter, can that person register under MSME? Do we have...
Yes, they can also register. They can also.
Okay, sir. So then we have this basic query. So we understand trading cannot, or authorized authorized supplier, dealer cannot register as MSME. Is it correct understanding?
जरूरत पड़ेगा तो उनका रीजनल ऑफिस में चले जाइए, ठीक है जी.
Trader or a authorized dealer of particular brand can register as a micro small.
They can also register wherever there is a value addition. They can register as a.
They can register and they can be eligible for.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So we are talking about a lot of schemes, a lot of package support and everything. But is there anything at the moment?
Joshua sir is there or he has left?
Acharya is here. I think
This Srivastava, sir. DP Srivastava. He is there?
DP Srivastava sir is not here, sir. So,
Okay.
Acharya sir, I think, is there any loan which is for a company which is a pre-revenue stage? Apart from Mudra loan which we have, is there any schemes or any support for a startup company, for someone who has not started revenue yet? Acharya sir, we have, I think you're muted. Okay, I think Uday Kumar sir, can you take up this?
Yeah, I think Dr. Atik is the right person, but still I will just try to answer it. See, now under this Atmanirbhar scheme, see the fund of funds, there is a government has already sanctioned a fund of funds scheme, and which is now, the nitty-gritties are to be cleared by the ministry. I think the fund of fund scheme is essentially for all the startups, and the fund of fund is going to have a mother fund. Then after that, actually, there is going to be a daughter fund. So in effect, actually, there's going to be 50,000 crores which will be available as a venture capital fund for the startups. And actually, what kind of startups are going to get this funding, and what is going to be the window, and what are going to be the safeguards and checks and balances. All the schemes are actually in the it's getting formed now. I think so. Once the scheme details are announced, of course, these schemes are announced as per the Dr. Rita Sinha committee recommendations. And so this is again, which is included in the Atmanirbhar package, and it is announced along with this 3 lakh emergency credit loan.
Right, so I can conclude it in a right way that at the moment, for any startup or any new company or a pre-revenue company, the package is the fund of fund is a solution, but that clarity on how that would be disbursed is yet to come. So I think with that, I'll go to the next question. Acharya sir, if you can unmute. So we understand that these schemes which are there, or the support which are there, is there? A lot of people saying that they're reaching out to banks for the relief packages, but most of the time the banks are still not clear. So do you think that it will take another few days to clarify what the package is and to people to start disbursement? I know 20%, which is for the existing stakeholders, additional limit which has been added is getting dispersed, but other packages are yet to be clarified and start funding. Is it a clear understanding, sir? Because a lot of people have this question. Acharya, sir? So you will have to unmute yourself, sir.
Okay. See, there are two parts. First, this package we must understand is only for borrowers which are having existing credit facilities from the banks. This 20% package. So if there is a borrower which is not having a credit facility with the bank, obviously this current package is not for him or her. So this 20% additional liquid, because the name is liquidity support, and liquidity support is extended through the banks. And if it can be extended through banks, then obviously banks can only support the people which are having banking facilities, isn't it? So that is one. If we are talking about the people who are not having banking facility, then it has to be through a regular banking channel only, and there the credit guarantee scheme is there. Here the NCGTC is there. There the credit guarantee scheme is there. But otherwise, let us understand. First, banks are overwhelmed with now the credit facilities are being extended to everyone. Each borrower, whoever is eligible. I think 90% of them are eligible. Is being extended. So possibly that could be the reason that the fresh facilities they might have slightly kept it below in their
Right.
in their priority.
Acharya sir, and this
It is not being done. It is being done, but the priority is now to implement the Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana.
Okay, sir. So my question is, if a person has an existing facility from X bank, they have to go for this 20% from the existing bank, or they can go to a new bank for comfort or for whatever reason. Is it?
It's a very interesting question. You see, when you have a facility with bank X, then all your securities are charged to bank X. Now, when you are going for additional facility, you must understand when you go to a bank for any credit facility, we have to provide collateral security, isn't it? government is saying in this particular case, because 20% additional facilities is being given, banks will not ask for any collateral security, but they will definitely extend the existing security that is there with them.
Right.
So if that be the case, obviously they cannot go to another bank.
Perfect, sir. I think I can still have a lot of questions, but we have our speakers. Thank you so much, Uday Kumar sir and Acharya sir and Rai sir. We have our esteemed speaker from Australia. We have Mr. Irfan Malik and we have Mr. Michael Sharpe and Hele, who have joined us today from Australia, and with an objective to share an opportunity how Make in India product. We were talking about demand. We were talking about how this demand has to be created, because we're talking about supply is fine, people will manage that, but what about demand? So this particular interaction of next 10 to 15 minutes is about how Australian counterparts, which are here today, can help us in creating Make in India product available in Australia. Irfanji, welcome to Womennovator platform. A privilege to have you. Irfanji as a CEO for Innovation and a lot of work he's doing for India industry, India and Australia industries. I think I hand over the interaction to Irfan Malikji without raising any further, without going any further. Irfanji, over to you.
Thank you, Tripti ji. Namaskar to all of you and greetings and visions from down under from Australia. So I'm Irfan Malik, based in Sydney. I head Incubation Global, which is a startup innovation ecosystem headquartered here at the Sydney Startup Hub, which is again an amazing ecosystem we have here in Australia. And I've also got Michael Sharp, who heads New South Wales as the New South Wales director for an amazing institution organization that Australian government at the federal level has curated, called the Advanced Manufacturing Growth Centre. And I've also got Hayley Saddington, who's been an entrepreneur in residence. She's herself an entrepreneur, woman, startup entrepreneur, founder, an influencer in the space, and also someone very closely looking at India as a partner, country for collaborating with the startup ecosystem. So I welcome them as well. To kick off, just to give you an overview, I also wear this hat of playing a role, a bridging role, and what we have really set off on the right foot with an Australia-India Innovation Bridge program. I'm really pleased that we've just had last week a virtual summit between both the prime ministers here in Australia as well as in India. And we had one of the first virtual summits. And in fact, whilst there have been quite a lot of defense-related collaboration, but we will definitely get you all to look through some of the joint statements that have been made and some of the sectors that's been put in focus as well, which I'll be happy to share through Tripti ji and the team. But also wanted to, before I, kick off the rest of the session, I want to recognize the traditional owners of the land, I'm meeting here from, and we are here. I want to pay my respects to the traditional owners, the elders past, present, and the future. We really mean that when we want to connect with India, with the wave that we've been able to create, we want to make sure that there's a lot of exchange happen. But I want to, before I go into the program, I want to invite Michael, if you want to share some insights about Advanced Manufacturing Growth Center, and then we'll probably take the conversation forward.
Certainly.
Michael, over to you.
Thank you, Irfan. It's a privilege to be here. I think between our two nations, we share some great resources already, and I know there's so much opportunity for growth. I like to say there's the 3 C's that we share, the Commonwealth, cricket, and coal. And so we do a lot together between our nations already, and I think it's terrific to be able to meet together like this, over Zoom, these are the new opportunities that are happening globally. The Sydney Startup Hub, where Irfan operates with, is certainly a great resource here in Australia. The Advanced Manufacturing Growth Centre that I'm representing is funded by the Australian government, and it's an initiative to help transform the manufacturing sector right across Australia. And one of the key initiatives there is for global cooperation and forming collaborative partnerships. And so we've seen some great companies here in Australia be able to partner with firms in India to open up global export opportunities. So right now, with the COVID-19 response, we had here in Australia over 2,500 companies register their capabilities to be able to assist with medical protective equipment. And some of our manufacturing firms had to pivot very quickly to be able to provide the service that we needed through the crisis. So right now, there's never been a better time to be in manufacturing. I think we've got great opportunities to build partnerships between our two great nations and look to the rest of the world for the opportunities to grow. The startup community here in Australia is thriving. There are many looking out for the opportunities to partner with firms in India. So I think through Irfan, there's going to be some great opportunities that we can connect your companies with our firms here in Australia. We have the Australian Space Agency, which has now been launched and officially head office in Adelaide in South Australia. So through the Space Agency, we're seeing advanced manufacturing techniques come through for such things as cube satellites, rocket technologies, and fuel tanks built out of carbon fibre, things like this. So there's certainly opportunities to share resources, build global supply chains in some pretty exciting spaces right now. I would finish on this point, Irfan, just by saying that I think there's great opportunities also around the circular economy and recycling materials. One of our firms, one of our members is a company called Dresden Vision, who manufacture prescription eyewear out of recycled plastics. And they're looking right now for the opportunities in India. So, but right now,
Great.
I'll hand back to Irfan. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. If you could stick around, I'll probably have a few more questions to facilitate here. I want to, welcome Haley on that note. As I indicated, she's an entrepreneur, a woman innovator, a founder, but also she's an entrepreneur in residence in the healthcare tech. In fact, I just want to acknowledge, and yesterday I hosted a webinar with one of the health ministers from India, the health minister of Kerala, with the Australian healthcare ecosystem. And as we explored healthcare collaboration, research, innovation, and startup, medtech, it's phenomenal. And of course, we had the COVID scenario dealing with PPE, medtech equipments, but even the future, there's a huge opportunity both ways to collaborate. And Haley probably, represents one such opportunity where she's got a great product she's looking to launch in India, but also potentially to collaborate in manufacturing and also other partners on board in India and vice versa. So let me welcome Haley. Do you want to share some of your insights as a women innovator and a founder, and also individually what you're looking for with the India collaboration?
Yes, thank you. A pleasure to be here. So thank you so much. I would love to share the different hats I wear. I guess that places myself and my knowledge in good context. And I work with the University of New South Wales, and I work with Health X teams there. We take 5 startups and we take them right through to the commercialization phase. I'm also on a board of Lincoln University, starting that up here in Sydney, and we're looking at different collaborations globally in India as well to really capture social impact companies out of India and here in Australia and do some good partnerships with them. I am also the CEO of Halo Medical Devices, which is mentioned. And so I've been in the innovation space for over 10 years now. I'm additionally on the board of a couple of female-focused innovator accelerators and heavily support the female space as well in the innovator arena. So I think there's some traditional, terrific and very strong partnerships we can form with India, and we're already seeing them come about. So we're starting to establish and talk to manufacturers ourselves, and I only hope that will strengthen going forward. I think there's some also fantastic, very strong investor interest as well between both Australia and India. And we're actually seeing these execute now. And for example, in Q with Malik, we're also able to see these sort of support systems in place. But as Michael mentioned as well, we are a very strong innovation hub. We're very well networked here in Australia, and we are looking for global partnerships. So I think it's, I hope, of comfort to know that we're very actively looking for partnerships. And you'll find there's many strong people in the innovation space like myself who are not only looking to manufacture in India ourselves for our own products, but also looking to support companies and startups out of India.
Great. Thank you, Haley, for the insights. Now, whilst we joined in a bit late, I think at least the last half an hour, hearing from, and in fact, I've been closely watching this, and we've got, I was there in India just before the COVID hit in February as part of the Australian-India delegation that we had the Trade Minister of Australia. We were there in about 5 cities as part of the whole Australia-India Business Exchange Program. And we did connect with Untitled Innovation Mission, and I was pleased to see that Dr. Ramanan was there as well. We forged quite a lot of close relationship with various ecosystem partners. But when I heard what's been happening in the MSME industry, some of the programs, the funding assistance, and one of the challenges that startups have is the funding mechanism. And I'm really glad and pleased to hear those programs are being offered. That just strengthens the ecosystem. And in Australia as well, I mean, to give a right perspective, I mean, I strongly believe the time is right, both for the ecosystem, not only at the government level, but also for the startup ecosystem, because Australian startup ecosystem, the market is small. So it needs a large market like India to kind of scale, and also not only for India, but for the world, leverage India, to make it India for the world, which as the Prime Minister also really promotes. That's definitely aligned. And I think it's a perfect time for that. And similarly, from an Indian startup ecosystem, because I live and breathe on both the ends, I see Australia as a great market, as a launch pad before you go into the rest of the Europe or US markets, where you may be ambushed as well, because you want to really validate. I mean, 3 validations I look for any startup or SMEs. Not only have your client validation, your investor validation, and market validation. And Australia is a great market to achieve that. And similarly for Australian ecosystem, India is a great market to get those ticks as well. So I can see a lot of that happen. And I think what Michael and team in the Advanced Manufacturing Growth Center have obviously really shaped. And I think every country is rethinking, rewiring. The COVID situation has already made every country to rethink. I mean, India, Australia, every country. The sort of relationship, the supply chain mechanisms, the various procurement pathways, all and on programs to support local industries. So what is pleasing is that definitely all the governments are putting in funding to really promote the industries locally. But at the same time, it is also looking for global partners. And I think that's where Australia-India is really gelling well. And Advanced Manufacturing Growth Center, obviously focusing on several aspects of process automation, manufacturing, Industry 4.0, cybersecurity, all kind of elements as well. Where, whilst there is a focus in developing these capability, but that's in partnership with some global partners as well. So that's where I think I'm pleased to note what the work Michael and team are doing, and the amount of funding and support being given by the federal government as well. Do you want to share, Michael, some of the programs, initiatives under the Advanced Manufacturing Growth Centers? And I'm sure definitely we would have taken some cues from the earlier session as well, some of the programs. And one of the things which I really love about the fund of fund across different states in India, that's also encouraging investors to co-contribute and support the ecosystem. So that's something huge there, but would love to hear about what's happening in the Advanced Manufacturing Growth Center and your vision there.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Irfan. I'd really recommend that people have a look at our website, the Advanced Manufacturing Growth Center. So it's amgc.org.au. You'll see some wonderful case studies on there of companies working together and producing world's best products to send out to the world. We like to say that it's not what you make, it's how you make it. And so design engineering plays such a key role these days. Building that trust along the supply chain globally, which I know that we can do between Australia and India so well. So the sort of government funds that have been put in is around 250,000 Australian dollars in matched funding for companies that can demonstrate our research about this digital transformation, robotics and automation to make great innovations and great strides in manufacturing today. Our researchers play such a significant part. We've got some wonderful universities right across the nation here in Australia, and to get those professors out on the factory floor and the funding that comes to back research to make manufacturing so much more efficient, develop world's best products that we can then send out globally, because we have a population here of some 25 million people, and we'd much rather see a global audience for Australia of 7 billion people all around the world. So we do have a focus on export. We certainly have a focus on global partnerships, and we look forward to working together with Irfan and his team and being able to connect Indian companies to some of our wonderful companies here in Australia to look for the new opportunities that are opening now. It certainly is a great time to be in manufacturing.
Great, thank you, Michael. I want to also reflect on some points. In fact, even the last few weeks, we've got as part of the Australia-India Business Council, which is again playing a bridging role here in trade and investment facilitation. We've got a Make in India chapter at a national level, where we're looking at collaboration between the countries where there are leads, opportunities, both sides. Where Indian companies are looking to partner or looking for collaboration, vice versa. Australian companies, across pharma tech to agri tech, manufacturing broader, right from electronics to various equipments. The flavor, if I were to be practical from an Australian perspective, the design, the research happens here in Australia. There's an amazing amount of talent in the university and the various ecosystem, the research design and the whole MVP development. But in terms of commercially scalable product manufacturing, that's where definitely they'll be looking for collaborative partners. Even some medical devices where the design, the innovation all is curated in Australia, but when we want to commercially manufacture, we will be looking for partners in India, and that's where there's a whole role to play. Now, even in the pharma space, there's a lot of procurement, whether it's in generic medicine or nutraceuticals or other segments that's been happening. Even for packaging to getting PET bottles to aluminum bottles, all these, there are elements that Australian companies will be looking for collaborative partners in India. So that's an exciting space to be on board. And in fact, please watch the space, the Australia-India innovation and business collaboration space. And definitely, I look forward to working closely with Tripti and the Womennovator team as well to really foster. I just have one more question. Hopefully, I'm going all right with the timing. But just one more question for Haley. Tell us more about Halo 3 and your India aspiration. What would you like to kind of do a call out to the folks here? Not only we have Gov officials, but also quite a lot of startup entrepreneurs there on board. What is your call out and call to action there?
Look, I think with the health industry, it's highlighted COVID more than anything, has highlighted what we need to be doing with essential services, and that we need to be helping people access healthcare. And we believe that's directly through technology. And so our new product we're building out, which we will be manufacturing in India and looking for those partnerships, is very much a device that people can wear home post-operatively, to offer that. It's almost a healthcare equality that we are missing globally. So that's something we're going to be building out. I would love to connect with startups and even manufacturing partners in India to offer what we have here in Australia and opportunities for them as well. And even share the experiences and open up that the gate, I guess, between India and Australia as well. But I think to connect with health professionals on the ground in India would be incredibly valuable as a call to action.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you, Haley.
Yeah.
Just one more thing, definitely with Tripti and in fact with Untitled Innovation Mission and the various ecosystem partners, we are trying to do India-Australia market access program both ways. So for Indian startups and MSMEs or SMEs, we are looking to do Australia market access program where we can do validation, vetting, and helping them tweak their approach and the right strategy to launch into or look for collaboration. Vice versa for Australian startups and SMEs as well. We are looking to foster those kinds of programs, and we'll definitely be working with you all, and we'll look forward to working with you closely. Over to you, Tripti.
Thank you so much, Irfanji. I don't think so. The discussion can be completed in 15 minutes. I know it was a very tight schedule, and thank you so much, Michael and Hallie, for joining us with Irfanji today. But I would really like to tell you all that we will be now coming up with Irfanji, Michael, and Hallie a specific session on Australia, opportunity in Australia, making product, because I could see a lot of chats coming in saying that we are manufacturing these items and how do they go and supply to Australian market? And they're very well qualified products, service lines. So they want to, partner franchise with, they're into jewelry or they're into different products. So how can they, go to Australian market? So maybe Irfanji, it would be great in this month, end of the month, if we can have this. And I could see my sir also here, and I know NSIC has been doing so much collaboration to promote export from India. So with this, I think we can bring in all partners together with Niti Aayog. Thank you so much once again. And with this,
thank you.
The best part coming in is the last 15 minutes for all the people who have joined in today. A session by my mentor, Gauri Shireenji, on it's an introduction of our upcoming program for micro, small, medium entrepreneurs and startup. It's a regenerating business, which shall also include special mention by Sri Guru Ravi Shankarji. Gauri ma'am, over to you, and Payal, if you can share the screen, it would be really great. I'm sure this next 15 minutes will help you and you can enroll for this program, or we will mail you all the details about the program in next 2 days. Thank you. Gauri ma'am, please.
Thank you very much, Tripti and Womennovator platform, which has been doing amazing work to bring in women entrepreneurs and inspire them to reach heights in India and globally now. I really want to also share my gratitude for what I heard. I mean, it's not just creating opportunities in the Indian among the Indian MSMEs through the funding systems which the government, schemes and systems which the government is putting in place, but clearly opening opportunities in markets like Australia, which is so heartening, because the gloom which has been set across industry today, whether it's large or small, and which has affected, of course, the MSME sector the most, if I may say so. Lots of companies have closed down, a lot of job losses being reported. There's a huge amount of uncertainty on because COVID is such a, it's an unknown animal, so to speak. And so amazing amount of gloom which has set in. I think I just wanted to wrap up this session for Womennovator, which has taken this initiative, by sharing that when we are moving from a situation of uncertainty and gloom and moving towards a situation which we are still trying to grapple with, what is in store with us, we have two ways of looking at it. We can look at it as doomsday, and we can look at it as an opportunity. And if we are going to look at it as an opportunity, we need to be ready for that opportunity. And readiness for the opportunity means that our mindsets need to be positively oriented. So what we observe in situations like this is that there are a lot of people, and there's a large number of this collective consciousness, or large number of people who kind of start slipping down. This is not okay. And then this the story starts spreading. It catches on like a virus in itself, and that's the mental virus, and that's not the physical invisible virus we are. So this is equally potent, this virus. If we have to really grasp the opportunities which this post-COVID period has in front of us and start preparing for that period, then we need to shift our mindsets. And Rishi, are you here for the next slide? So here, what we are going to share with you is that what is it which we can do for ourselves to shift our mindsets. We are bringing for India and for Indian MSMEs a wonderful program called the IXL Holistic Wellbeing Program. It has been oriented to really work on raising the positive energy among business owners, entrepreneurs, startups, the entire ecosystem. If we start working on raising a positive energy, there is nothing which we cannot actually face together. Can we do this next slide, Rishi? Yeah, and this is the founder of our institution, which is now in 155 countries, including Australia, said a few words to some of the entrepreneurs, business people, as well as to PSU CEOs just very recently. This is not the time for competition. It is actually the time for cooperation. While it is still time to be competitive, right, in our products, in our manufacturing, in the kind of, especially in manufacturing, I would say, because that is where India has lagged behind, and here is the next wave coming in, okay, which they can, grasp, so to speak. But it is definitely time for collaboration and cooperation along with it. And how do we raise our energy so that we can collaborate, cooperate, come up with creative solutions? We can do it by age-old methods of pranayama, meditation, and what Art of Living brings to you, which is Sudarshan Kriya. Sudarshan Kriya is this great de-stressor, which very, very instantly brings you to a positive energy level, and you start thinking more creatively. You get more confidence. You're able to break through all the the barriers which you have formed in your mental map and move forward. And if you notice, we also say this opportunity is not just for a better India, but for the entire world together, because COVID has taught us that the world has to stand together in this. I think each and every individual and living being on this earth has been affected equally. And that is the power of looking at the new situation together. Rishi, next. Yes, next. Yeah, so this is the program. The program is going to be held on the 18th, from 18 to 21st. It's just 2 hours each, where a very, very powerful tool is going to be shared with MSMEs. The clear outcomes which have been tested with thousands of employees, corporate businessmen, as well as entrepreneurs, has been higher energy, which makes them emotionally resilient and creative to take further decisions, a clarity of mind to solve problems and be able to face the uncertainty, and also an enhanced immunity. Today, we have been talking about immunity in a very, very big way. How do we look at a vaccine which is going to save us? We talk about food, nutrition, all kinds of immunity medicines. The best immunity is de-stressing ourselves. There can't be anything better than positive mental health. We also, in addition, have a very powerful panel. Can you come in next, Rishi? We have a very, very powerful panel. Yeah, the next one. With chairman of Union Bank. We have the CEO of SME, BSc SME. We have Dr. Anurag Batra, who is Business World editor-in-chief as well as CEO. We have ASSOCHAM chairman, as well as Mr. Raghunathan from the clean energy side. So we have a very powerful channel, and we also have a direct interaction with Sri Ravi Shankar himself, who has globally been able to talk to all the key people across the board in every part of the world in the last 2 months. So we get an opportunity, MCs get an opportunity to directly interact with him on this session. Yeah, we can come to the next slide, Rishi. You can reach out to us on these numbers if you would like to register for this program, or you want to know more details about the program. We are going to share it through Womennovator with you later too. We can come in next. The next slide is our session. Yeah. And this we clearly see is, we had our session slide. So we look forward to all of you coming in and really building your inner resources to be able to meet the new challenges. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Gauri ma'am. That was very nice of you and kind. It was you just covered up our timing thing. Thank you so much, and it sounds to be an interesting session. We will be circulating to all the audience this particular session details. I'm also would like to really thank Anil Khaitan sir, the chairman for Womennovator, for joining in with us right now. And I would request him if he can bring the session to an end. Anil Khaitan sir, past president of PhD Chamber of Commerce, our chairman for Womennovator. Womennovator, as you all know, is a virtual incubator for women, helping women across India and even working outside and expanding as we talk. So with this, I would request Anil Khaitan sir to please share his, mind out with and bring the session to an end. Thank you so much, Anil sir. Thank you, Gauri ma'am, and your team for joining us today. And as we bring Anil Khaitan sir, the real key challenges which, sir, it would be great to hear from you, sir.
Hi, Tripti, morning. Tripti, can you tell me the subject? I couldn't get the subject.
So we are just talking, we're just bringing this session to an end, and it would be really great if you can tell what are the real challenges and how you're dealing with, whether it's employees, whether it is, your factory, manufacturing, how you're carrying on with this, challenging times.
Right. Well, the biggest challenge now for any company is establishment of the entire supply chain management. Because until you receive your input smoothly, you are able to manufacture smoothly, you're able to dispatch it to your customer smoothly, then the money comes in. Then you say your working capital has started to roll. Now, this rolling is dependent firstly on availability of working capital. Now, till now, I was studying a report under the Atmanirbhar Bharat, this 3 lakh crore guarantee, which the government would provide to the MSMEs. In that scheme, till now, 24,000 crores have been sanctioned and 12,000 crores have been disbursed. So number one challenge would be for 90% of the company is to arrange working capital. The second challenge would be to get the workers back, that is the migrant workmen who have gone. Because let's assume today the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry, being in the essential services, was never subject to lockdown. One of our pharmaceutical companies, we ran at 100%. Since we had local labor, we didn't have labor issues. So we were running all right. But a lot of pharma companies, that is our customers, they were running at about 50 to 60% of the capacity. And the sole reason, I shouldn't say the sole, but the major reason was migrant labor, as well as all of us know now. I mean, this is not, it is known to the entire India, but it was very well known to the government even 5 years ago that India is depending 70 to 75% of its pharmaceutical raw material from China. So what the government has now fast forwarded the process of setting up bulk drug plants and trying to become Atmanirbhar in that is a decision which has been delayed, but nevertheless, it has now been taken. So these two factors led to shortage of raw material coming in from China. Also, the raw material prices went up by 200 to 250%. So that also affected the pharmaceutical industry running to full capacity. But slowly, things are improving. But I'm not too worried much on that front as I am on the MSME front, because I feel MSME is going to go through a huge problem. And the main problem is basically demand. And I personally feel that if we have a GDP, which we have as on 31st March 2020, roughly 200 lakh crores, I personally feel that in 2021, India would do a GDP against of 200 lakh crores, between 175 to 180 lakh crores. That is the hit which I am having a gut feeling. I don't have any figures to back it up, but it's just my gut feeling. One is that the domestic demand will take time. Let's face the fact that the demand will take time to again come back to the pre-COVID level. It might take 9 months, it might take 6 months. Now, this is a guess which nobody can make as of now. I mean, not a guess, but a period which nobody can accurately forecast. As of now, everybody has their own conviction, their own vision. But definitely, I would say that India, the package which we have got, which is 20.97 lakh crores, which the government has tabulated, out of which 8.1 lakh crores has come from Reserve Bank through. But virtually the package, if you see, the package is all in form of loans. So debts have increased. They will increase on corporates, on businesses, on traders. Government, to tell you frankly, in my opinion, doesn't have the cash to fulfill the needs of the huge depression which has come about because of the pandemic and of the lockdown. So I always am of the view that government should start monetizing the deficit. The government should issue securities which the Reserve Bank will buy, and the money should come in because the demand in the economy has to be created. And I was reading a report that if government pays 25,000 rupees straight direct benefit transfer to the migrant workmen, so on and so forth, it will cost about 3.5 lakh crores to the government. So at the moment, I personally am of the view to conclude that fiscal deficit, we should keep an eye on it. We should definitely try to see to whatever extent we can control, but that no more can be a benchmark. Because you will have no GDP if there is no productions of goods and services. So at the moment is to flush the economy with liquidity, get the investments going, in the sense the existing investments, get them revved up, get them back to the normal capacities, get the workers back, and get the whole economy moving. So for this whole cycle to move, Tripti, I feel personally it will take anywhere between 6 to 9 months. But we will do it. We can do it. It's not that there has been the Spanish flu 1918. There has been the First World War. There has been the Second World War. There has been the 2008 crisis. But every time the world has rebounded. The only thing which I'm quite optimistic about is that in India, when the rebounds takes place, the rebounds might be quite huge because of the suppressed demand all of a sudden coming up. And provided, of course, the people have purchasing power. Thank you so much, Tripti, for giving me some time.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming in at the moment and helping us with concluding the session. And thanks again, everyone, and all the panelists and all our audience for being with us today, patiently listening. I hope you will benefit from this session. And as I promised, we have come to a conclusion that Irfanji with Michael and our counterpart in Australia would like to do a session in Australia market access session specifically for you all. And we would most probably be announcing it. You can follow us on Womennovator Facebook page and our social media. If you have missed any part of the session, you can go on our YouTube Womennovator channel, listen to what you missed. Thank you once again, everyone. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. And I bring the session to an end.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sripti.
Namaste.